Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 19th of December, and we all know what that means. That's right. The Steam holiday sale is well and truly underway. And we have a pretty decent day today. It's certainly not maybe the best in the history of the Steam sale mankind, but it's not bad. We've got everything from Ryse, Son of Rome, to the awesomeness that is known as Assassin's Creed Unity, or something. Anyway, let's start off with AC, shall we? It's 33% off, which means it's £30 and 14 pence, or, if you prefer to pay in dollars, it would be $40.19. Does anyone remember when that was how much a retail version of a PC game cost? Red Gaming Tech remembers. Anyway, what's there to say about this one? The PC release is better than the consoles in that you can do something about the hideous frame rate performance. Basically speaking, multiple patches have been released for this, but Ubisoft haven't really managed to fix it. There's still some major issues with NPCs literally warping in, but the sad thing is the game itself is actually pretty good in terms of storyline. Here's my recommendation. If you are burning to play Assassin's Creed, if you absolutely must know the storyline, pick it up. On the other hand, if you are someone who's happy to wait, if you're looking at the sale and thinking, gee, there's tons of games that I want to play, don't pick it up. Wait. Wait until, I don't know, March or whenever the hell the next sale happens to be, then buy it. Two reasons. One, the bugs should likely be fixed, and for two, the game will be cheaper. As I said, it's not in as bad state as when it was first released. Some things have improved, performance is up, but it's certainly not in the state that we expect it. And quite honestly speaking, for 30 Great British Pounds or $40 US in the Steam sale, that's a lot of money. I mean, you can buy a lot for that, is basically what I'm saying. Anyway, Castle Crashers is next. 99 Great British Pence. You thought I was going to say pounds there, didn't you? No, you didn't really. But anyway, that's $149 US. Castle Crashers is probably best if you can play it with friends, buddies, and cohorts. It's a pretty simple game in that you're basically a hack and slash arcade adventure, I suppose. It's very 2D and very awesome. I've heard from multiple people that it's an excellent game. Overwhelmingly positive is what many people on Steam would consider this in terms of their reception. You know what? Why am I talking? There's a demo of it. Download it. It's tiny. You might as well give it a shot. Speaking of something you might as well give a shot, you've also got Batman, so that's $5 US. I'm just going to round that up, or $3.74 if you prefer to pay in pounds. Arkham Origins is also all of the other ones like Arkham City as well as Asylum. All of them are the same price, so I'm not going to go through the whole pricing thing again. In my opinion, and I've mentioned this a bazillion times, Origins, I've still not actually completed, even in my own time. I've completed Asylum and Arkham City, but Origins I just can't get into enough. It just doesn't feel so tightly put together. What I'm basically saying to you is if you're looking for a Batman experience and you've completed the other two games, grab it. If, on the other hand, you're yet to play the other two games, especially in my opinion anyway, Asylum, then go ahead and pick that one up instead. Because personally, I think it's a better title. Not that, you know, it's awful or anything like that, but it's just not as good in my personal opinion. Next title, Killing Floor. This is actually a really good price for it. 75% off, that's $3.74 if you're paying in pounds. If you're paying in dollars, it's going to cost you a grand total of $5 US. Well, $4.99, but who cares, right? This one is a co-op shooter, survival horror, and yes, there is a lot of these games about, but this one does it pretty well. It's got a fairly decent online community. It does have co-op, no local, however, and that's really the one to play this. It's pretty much, you could consider it like a more violent, if that's possible, Left 4 Dead. There's not really that much to say about this, but this is one of those titles where I'd recommend, if possible, playing it with people you know. It's a very simple reason, because if you're just playing this locally, on the internet with people you don't really know too well, you're probably going to find that everyone knows what the hell they're doing, and you're going to have less fun than optimal. Speaking less fun than optimal, let's move on to Fable Anniversary, shall we? It's $17.49 if you're paying in dollars, and if you're paying in pounds, we don't get a bad price, us Brits. We get to pay $13.49. I've got two major problems with Fable Anniversary. The first is the graphics and so on haven't really been that improved. Yeah. So what I'm basically saying is it looks better than Fable, but look at what Fable was released on. In other words, the original Xbox, or if you prefer to think of it as like the 9800 Pro era. And then look at, you know, what we're playing now. Yes, the resolution of textures and so on is higher, but it's not really what you want. The second point, and this one's probably bigger, is that in my opinion they haven't really added anything to it. And paying what is effectively quite a large price for basically a very slight HD version of a game, it makes me feel consolitis, quite frankly, and it doesn't really sit well with me. I'm not saying it's a bad game, I'm not saying it's awful. If you really haven't yet played Fable, go ahead and try it out. But personally speaking, it's not really a game that I would recommend. Especially if you're more into modern titles. Anyway, where are we? Ah yes, depth. So, depth is a pretty odd one. The idea is that you are, well, a shark. Quite literally, you are playing as a shark. And you have to overwhelm your enemies by nomming them. They are tasty enemies, and you must devour their yummy flesh. So, this title is $11.39 if you're paying in US dollars. Sorry, as I was saying, $11.39 if you're paying in Great British Pounds, I'm sorry, and $14.99 if you're paying in US dollars. Actually, there's a slight amendment to what I was saying. You can technically play as a diver as well, but why would you want to play as a diver when you can eat people? Anyway, I haven't personally played this one. I have heard good things about it. Whether it's your thing or not, who the hell knows. It's certainly a bit of a unique experience. Graphics aren't too bad either. Well, you know, maybe give it a shot. It's not too expensive, right? Next title is... what is the next title? Ah, yes. It would be Ryse, Son of Rome. Have covered it on the channel. It's going to cost you $17.49 if you're paying in Great British Pounds, or it's going to cost you $20 US. Us Brits don't get a particularly good deal on this one, if I'm honest. The PC version isn't bad in terms of ports. It does go 60 FPS and so on. But I don't know, quite frankly. I don't know. It's not a bad game. It's not bad. It's just some people are going to love the action. Others are going to hate it. What I'd suggest is at the very least look at a video. I really like the game, but not everyone does. It's kind of one of those things where I've noticed a lot of critics or reviewers don't seem to enjoy it as much as, you know, regular gamers. I kind of just like it because it's pretty much brainless, you know. 1 stab, 2 stab, 3 stab, profit. It's pretty much that kind of game. I do quite like the storyline. The acting's not too bad. Technically, it's relatively solid. There's no major bugs. So yeah, you might want to give it a shot. At least have a look at a video of it. See what you think of the PC version, at least in my opinion. Next one is Borderlands. So the prequel, the pre-sequel actually. I always say prequel, and it's actually not. It's the pre-sequel. Anyway, it's 14 Great British Pounds, or if you're paying in dollars, it's going to cost you $29.99. Let me just double check that I said the UK price right. Yes, I did. Wow, us Brits get a really good deal, or Americans get absolutely screwed. I'm not quite sure which. Maybe a bit of column A, maybe a little bit of column B. Anyway, I digress. If you've played Borderlands before, you'll know what it's about. If you haven't played Borderlands before, well, it's pretty simple. It's a case of you are playing an FPS, which doesn't really take itself too seriously. It's got a lot of humour, a ridiculous amount of weapons. It's almost like an RPG, I suppose, RPG FPS. The major point about this is not only do you level up and power up your weapons and so on, but this one is not set on Earth. It's basically you are on Pandora's moon. It's a good game, quite honestly. It hasn't been quite as popular as, say, Borderlands 2. I have a feeling some of that is to do with the fact it wasn't released on the PS4/X1, and thus the technology's kind of held it back a little bit. Let's see, I think there was one other game that I haven't covered. Which one was it? Ah, yes, Valkyria Chronicles. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know too much about this one, if I'm totally honest, but it's going to cost you 15 US dollars. I'm so bad I don't even know the bloody price apparently. 15 US dollars, or it's going to cost you 11.24 Great British pounds. It's not the best deal. It's 24% off, 25% off, but it's a relatively recent release anyway. It's only been out about a month. This one has a very good reception indeed, but as I've said, I've not personally played it. As far as I can... Oh, and this one also comes with all the previously released DLC, so you're getting a lot of gameplay. I would personally recommend doing a bit of Googling on this one. As I said, from what I've heard, it's a good game, but I personally haven't played it. I will quickly go through the games that are on the, the flash deals, if you will. They're refreshed every 12 hours. I'm going to go through the games that I know. I haven't played all of them, but I have played a couple. Deus Ex Director's Cut, that's $3.99, or if you prefer to pay in Great British Pounds, you will be paying $2.59, so it's actually a really good price. I have mentioned this one before. The basic premise here is it's the FPS RPG. Deus Ex was well received back in the day. This is, of course, first single player only, really, and the idea, of course, is it's more story orientated. You can pretty much choose how you want to play the game, whether it's stealth or whether it's action. As I've mentioned previously, the only thing that might put a few people off, two things actually. One is the fact that for some reason, inexplicably, everything is bathed in orange. I still don't really understand that design decision. And the second design decision, which I don't really appreciate, is the fact that the game does kind of encourage you to go a non-lethal route. In other words, to clarify, you get more experience much faster if you don't murder everyone, or you basically stun people, or you're sneaky. And I don't like that, because to me, if you're going to give me an open world game, don't penalise me by playing in one particular way. On the other hand, I say all of this, but for the price, it's a really good deal. Next one is Legend of Korra. I know a couple of people who have played this. I haven't personally touched it, but from what I understand, the combat is relatively solid, but does start fairly slowly because you don't really get any bending abilities. It's basically 10 US dollars, or if you're paying in Great British Pounds, it's going to cost you $7.91. Excuse me. What I would personally suggest is, if you don't know much about the title, if you don't know much about Korra, then give it a miss. If you are a fan of the show or anime, that type of thing in general, then you might want to give it a shot. Otherwise, I'd probably say, just kind of not bother. I'm going to quickly go through some HumbleBundle stuff as well. You have got Batman here. So if you prefer to go ahead and buy things from HumbleBundle rather than Steam, you have got that opportunity, because as I said, Arkham City and so on are available. You've got Dungeon Siege 2, which is a pretty good game. It's a little bit out of date technically because you've got Dungeon Siege 3, but it's not a bad game. Universe sandbox idea, of course, is you basically build your own universe, pretty much as you would say on the tin. Not a bad game at all. It's not really a game, it's more of a simulation, but $1.29, so if you've ever been interested in it, go ahead and pick it up. Is there any other games? Let's see. I think there was one other that I wanted to tell you about. Galactic Civilizations is available as well. We've got Galactic Civilizations 3. I've heard pretty good things about this one, but it is early access. It's 24 Great British Pounds. I'm sorry, I don't know what the US dollar price is for this one. You've also got a potential of Age of Wonders 3, which isn't bad either. And you've also got Gauntlet, which is $7.49, which is a really good price for the... considering it's a pretty recent release. So, that's basically 50% off. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Unfortunately, the Origins sale is no longer on, which kind of sucks because it was really good. So I'm just letting you guys know. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.